Most homeowners are making these mistakes on their heating and cooling system, and they don't even know it. And honestly, I don't blame them. I run into this stuff on a weekly basis on my service calls. Today, I'm breaking down 5 common HVAC myths that could be costing you money or even damage your system. And stick around for the pro tip at the end because this can save you a lot of costly repairs. Myth number 1, cranking the thermostat heats or cools your home faster. Cranking your thermostat way up or way down does not heat or cool your house faster. Or does it? Now, I totally get where you're coming from. You have your car, and when you turn that dial more blue, the colder it gets. When you turn it more red, the hotter it gets. So why can't it be the same with your HVAC system in your home? And depending on your system that you have in your home, your furnace or AC runs at a steady output. So let's take summertime, for example. At work, you're not going to be leaving your home at 68 degrees all the time. It's just really expensive to do that. So sometimes while you're away, you'll crank it up to 74, 76 degrees as an example. And then when you get home and you're like, gosh, it feels really hot in here, I'm going to crank it all the way down to 55 degrees, which I have seen many times before. You think that it's going to make the AC cool much more quickly, but that is not the case. The only exception to this is if you have a variable speed or modulating system that will change the output based on the demand either from the thermostat, or it can do the calculations based on its runtime from the control board itself. But the thing to understand with that is that these units are very intelligent and smart. It's supposed to do those calculations for you, but it doesn't necessarily change the output based on how low you crank down the thermostat. Now, there are some smart thermostats out there where, let's say, the thermostat needs to reach a target temperature that's more than 2 degrees. Sure, it might bump up an extra stage if you have a multi-stage system. However, most systems already know this based off a runtime for even about 15 minutes. It's going to automatically bump up that stage. So the best thing to do is just to pick one temperature and stick with that temperature to maintain. Myth number 2, bigger systems equals better performance. Now, obviously, a lot of people think that the bigger the better, but in this case, that's not really true. You can actually have a negative effect if you do that. Let's say you put in a much bigger air conditioner along with a big air handler that's too big for your home. Theoretically, yes, it will actually push out even colder air and much more quickly. But that's the key part, is actually going to impact your comfort. If you heard from your old man about a couple dozen times that it's not the heat that gets you,
it's the humidity.
He's not wrong. Let me explain. So most people think that shorter run periods for your system is better for it, but in reality, especially in this scenario, it's actually better to have longer run periods, because what happens with your air conditioner, what it's basically doing is that it's not adding cold air to the room. When you have a properly sized system, it's actually removing heat and at the same time dehumidifying your home, which is a really key factor to how comfortable your home feels. Now, a lot of you that live in states where you have multiple seasons, sometimes all on the same day, may notice that 70 degrees in the winter feels very different than 70 degrees in the summertime. And that's mainly because of the humidity level. So if we take a 70-degree day in the wintertime where your home is about 30% humidity, it's going to feel very different than a hot summer humid day when it's 70 degrees, 60% humidity. So that's why you want a properly sized system that will have enough runtime so that it can properly dehumidify your home and effectively reach that target set point on your thermostat. And most importantly, this is going to affect your efficiency, because if you have lower humidity in your home during those hot summer days, 76 degrees is not going to feel that bad in your home compared to if you have really high humidity and it's at 76 degrees, it's going to feel really mucky in there and you're just not going to enjoy it, and you're going to end up cranking down the thermostat even further, just like in that other myth. Myth number 3, maintenance is only needed when something breaks down. I'm not gonna lie, this one drives technicians crazy, because if you guys really want to know what pisses us off is when you call us late on a Saturday night for a very basic maintenance related issue that could have been prevented if you just signed up for our annual maintenance program. So no, it's not a scam, it's actually needed. Now, I don't blame you guys, because in school and growing up, you were always taught to always have oil changes on your cars. But what they didn't teach you is that there's a lot of other maintenance related things that you need to do in your home, not just with HVAC, but many other services as well. And I've heard all of the excuses in the book.
Well, my system never breaks down, so why am I going to waste this money?
Well, I have insurance, so I'm just going to wait for something to break down and you guys are going to come over and fix it.
Well, here's the thing. is that typically during maintenance, there's usually a significant discount if the technician finds the issue during that call. So it's going to be a lot more cost effective for you to have it done at that time. Also, you're avoiding the after hours fee. And trust me, paying for after hours is going to ruin your wallet, because not only there's the fee, there's not going to be any discounts most likely, so it's going to be a larger repair bill for you. And most importantly, the inconvenience. It's not only inconvenient for the technician to come out on a Saturday night, but I've seen it many times, like what if you had plans? What if you had a party going on in the house? And it's kind of an embarrassing feeling when your own HVAC system fails on you when there's so many people crowded in a room. You're like, wow, it's almost 85 degrees in here. Now you got to call someone like me to come and crash your party. And if you are really in the position where you need to save money, there are plenty of videos on there that can show you how to do these maintenance procedures. And of course, if you guys would like, just let me know. I will make those videos as well that are homeowner friendly. Myth number 4, closing vents saves energy and can help boost air to certain areas of the home. So I like some of these myths because there's some truth to it, and then there's a lot of not so true parts to it. So that's why I love to break these down and explain further. What I want to start by saying about this, like everything, these things are useful in moderation. Closing all your vents is a terrible idea in your home. I see this mostly during the summertime when your basements feel really cold and people tend to close all the vents in the basement to help push that air up. But what this can actually do is actually build pressure in the system, which can actually overheat your blower motor and cause strain on the system overall. And the reason behind that is going back to how size really matters. When the house was built, you had a contractor working with an HVAC company, and they designed that specific system to fit your house. And when you have too many vents closed in the summertime, this can lead to freezing the coil. Again, it can put strain on the blower motor as well. And in the wintertime, it's going to overheat your furnace. So if you notice your furnace short cycling, it's likely that high limit switch that's screaming for help. So what should you do? Because I get it. I do run into some houses where customers have some vents closed over here and some vents closed over there, and they found just the right balance to help push that air up to the second floor so that they can sleep more comfortably. So my advice is, when you're closing vents, you want to disperse the amount that you close throughout the house. You don't want to close too many vents in one specific area because that airflow has nowhere else to go. And with all the twists and the turns of the ductwork, it's not always guaranteed to be pushed up to where you actually want it to be. And honestly, this is just showing that there's an underlying issue going on with the system. This could mean that you have the wrong size equipment. This could mean that the settings on your furnace or air handler could be set incorrectly. And that's when you want a technician to come out and evaluate the system to see what else could be done. What's really common nowadays is having zoning systems where you have multiple thermostats on each floor and they have powered dampers that will open and close as needed to help disperse that air to a specific place. But again, your HVAC system needs to be designed for that. Now, there are some other vents that you should be focusing more on, and that is your return vents, especially if you have a house where you have a top return vent and a bottom return vent. Remember, these vents are actually going to be pulling, not blowing. And you may notice that your bottom vent may have an adjustable lever, and that's there for a reason. Ideally, in the summertime, you want to close that bottom vent since hot air rises, especially towards the ceiling. And that's why your top return vent is up towards the ceiling. It's actually going to be sucking all that hot air because, again, your air conditioner needs to remove the heat. So that's going to make it work much more efficiently. And then you want to leave the bottom vent open during the winter time. So first, you need to understand which vents you are closing. Is it a supply vent that's blowing air, or is it a return vent that's sucking air? Both have a different job. So all in all, is it okay to close a couple of vents here and there? I think it's fine, but I think it's best to ask your technician during the annual checkup. Myth number 5, higher MERV rating on your filter equals better for me and better for my HVAC system. Bigger, or in this case,
Stronger,
is not always better when it comes to air filters. And this is so common because a lot of people go to Menards or go to a hardware store and look at the filters, and you guys will see a number, and it's typically for the MERV rating, or depending on the brand, it might just have a number in the thousands, and you guys always go for the biggest one. And I'm not going to shame you because you guys are doing that with the best intentions of spending a little bit extra money to help your HVAC system and, more importantly, remove those allergies in your home. But it's actually damaging your system. And the problem is those high MERV rating filters can actually cause more of a restriction. And the key part is, especially when your system isn't designed for it. So let's break it down. Your system is designed to move a certain amount of air through your ductwork. When you throw in a super restrictive filter, you're basically choking it to death. Think of it this way. We all went through a period where there's some places we were required to wear masks. As we all learn, there are many different types of masks. So if we put on just a basic cheap mask that's usually from the doctor, we can breathe pretty easily from it. But if we put in this really big, heavy duty, expensive mask, it's a real bitch to breathe through. Now, this is more important for 1-inch filters rather than bigger like 4-inch filters or April Air filters. Like, there are some exceptions out there, which I'll get to in a little bit. For 1-inch filters, the reason why it's so harmful for your system is because 1-inch filters actually have less surface area than a 4-inch filter would. So they don't have much room to work with. So when you mix less surface area with a higher MERV rating, it's going to be super restrictive. And yes, technically, it does do a better job of collecting allergies, dust, and other crap in the air that you probably don't want to breathe or should be breathing anyway. But similar to closing all those vents, what it can actually do is, again, restrict the airflow. And it's going to do the same thing as freezing up the evaporator coil when the air conditioner is running. It's going to overheat your furnace, and you're just going to have more strain on the blower motor and overall have weaker airflow going through. So what is a good MERV rating? Personally, I used to always say nothing more than MERV 10, but if you go up to MERV 11, I think that is perfectly acceptable. If you take a 1-inch filter that's like a MERV 13, that can be a little bit too much for your unit. And this isn't something that's going to cause damage overnight. It's something that's going to cause damage of doing this practice for years and years and years on your system. And again, the goal here is to maximize the longevity of your unit in order to save money. So obviously you're looking at those higher MERV rating filters for a reason. Most likely it's for allergies and to catch more particles in the air. So what should you do instead? Me personally, I love air purifiers. And don't worry, this is not a sponsorship whatsoever. I'm just letting you know what I personally use. I specifically use Germ Guardian. It's about $100 on Amazon, and typically less if you wait around for a deal. It has a filter, a pre-filter, and even a UV bulb. I don't really think it does anything, but it's there if you want it. And that can catch all the dust and bacteria in the air so that your furnace doesn't have to do the work. And that's basically how I use the air purifiers, is that it's taking that workload off of your furnace filter so that you can now take that workload off of your blower motor. Because trust me, blower motors are pretty expensive to replace. Now you may be asking, what about the bigger filters? Why is it okay to use those with a higher MERV rating? And again, it comes down to the surface area. When the house was built, and assuming the HVAC installer installed and sized everything correctly, he designed that specific unit for a specific filter. So that's why it's really important to understand what the best filter is for that system so that you can get the most out of it. Now, there is such a thing as having too low of a MERV rating. Like some of those like really cheap 1-inch filters where you can literally see straight through them. I would not buy a filter where you hold it up and you can see everything straight through it. It's not effective. What that can actually do is that all those dust and particles are going to go straight through that filter and start plugging up your blower wheel, your blower motor, your heat exchanger. And trust me, that's going to be a much larger bill at the end of the day. So that's why it's important to do the research to find what the best filter is for you. Pro tip for today's video is how to check your filter and what you should be looking out for. So when you pull your filter out, you should actually take a flashlight and shine it on there. Take your finger and actually flick it to see what kind of dust is coming off of it. If your filter is black, it could be from excessive use of candles. If your filter is yellow, it could be from smoking cigarettes or other substances. If you see a bunch of white dust coming off of it, it could obviously be drywall dust if you've been doing a lot of renovations lately, or it could be from using a portable humidifier, specifically using tap water from the sink. All that mineral deposit gets in the air, and through those return vents that we talked about earlier, gets sucked in there and cycled through your ductwork. And depending on your filter, especially the 1-inch filters, I've seen it plug up filters in a matter of 3 days. That's why it's super critical to actually use distilled water. So if you're running over to your humidifier because you realize that you made this mistake, it's not the end of the world. Empty it out, clean it out, put in distilled water, replace your furnace filter immediately, run the system, and then I would also advise you to replace your filter again within a week. And if you're doing any of these habits, don't sweat it. No pun intended. If anything, give yourself some credit for taking the time to find this video and educate yourself to get the most out of your HVAC system, which in the long run will save you money. Let me know down in the comments, What is something that you've heard about HVAC that just doesn't sound true? And if you're a technician watching yourself, what is some good advice that you have to share with the homeowners watching? Thanks a lot for watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button, and as usual, I'll see you guys on the next call.